Mama Saiyan said, Kakarot, come back. But sorry, no Kakarot came back. Hey guys, thank you for clicking on this video, and we're going to be continuing with What If Bardock Stopped Lord Freeza, Part 4. Complete with our Gine searching for Kakarot side story, because like I said, it's going to be very important for the overall story when we eventually get to its conclusion. Now, a quick recap. Our story began when Bardock managed to stop Lord Freeza from committing genocide on planet Vegeta, when he convinced King Vegeta and Queen Cassava to unify the Saiyans into one final stand against Freeza, and with a bit of clever thinking, using the power of the energy ball to turn everyone into the Great Ape, a combined Ki Blast and completely obliterating Freeza, that has pretty much prevented the Saiyan race genocide. All thanks to Bardock and his foresight, and quite frankly, it was kind of obvious what Freeza was doing. I mean, honestly, come on, monkeys. And then, as we know, King Vegeta then began to go kind of jealous of Bardock, who was rising up in terms of the Saiyans, an overall admiration for Bardock. After all, he just saved their entire race, and he's a low-class warrior who was spending his time training up the lower class. You know, even his wife Gine decided to join in. Chance to train with her husband, because remember, you know, training is how Saiyans bond. And okay, enough kidding aside. Alright, so then, as King Vegeta feared, King Cold eventually came looking for Freeza. And they came to a sort of understanding. Okay, you give me this Bardock guy, I won't destroy your race, and you can still be king of the Saiyans. That sort of gist. So King Vegeta came up all-out traitor. But of course, he ended up biting the dust because Bardock had a premonition of what King Vegeta was about to do, and basically stopped him from stabbing him in the back, quite literally, snapping King Vegeta's wrist. And so furious with the king's cowardice, he becomes a Super Saiyan and completely destroys the King Vegeta. He does rescue Prince Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz, because remember, like I said in the previous parts, Nappa, Raditz, and Vegeta did not come back. They were captured by King Cold, used as bargaining chips in case things go south. And I assure you, things are about to go very south for King Cold now that the Prince, Raditz, and Nappa are now rescued, and Bardock in his Super Saiyan form wipes out the Ginyu Force and has his little one-on-one showdown with King Cold, and ultimately obliterates the evil king or galactic emperor who's come out of retirement. Anyway, he is gone as well. And now, ever since then, the same races are lived pretty prosperly and peacefully. Bardock is still training up the lower class soldiers and is, of course, the local Super Saiyan, which Prince Vegeta is now currently training under Bardock's tutelage, because Bardock wants to teach Prince Vegeta, you know, to respect the lower class warriors, because they need to get rid of that type of thinking, because the elite Saiyans and lower class Saiyans, that was all a type of thinking that Freeza and his father put into them when they enslaved them. What the Saiyans were really like, they were equal and had a equally passion for battle. That was it. Bardock is trying to bring that back, and in order to satisfy their thirst for battle, Bardock is basically, with Queen Cassava's authorization, he's leading some liberation missions in order to liberate the planets that the Saiyans conquered in the name of Freeza. This is the only way to restore the honor of the Saiyan race. We have to right our wrongs. And for the most part, yeah, everyone's behind it. In Vegeta, you know, you still get your little, why are we doing this? This isn't the Saiyans, or this isn't what I was taught. He still gets a bit of that, but, you know, that's pretty much normal. And meanwhile, as we know, Gine was authorized by Queen Cassava to go in searching of her missing son, Kakarot. And by the time she gets to his location, Goku is nowhere to be seen, long gone, but she does stumble upon his house and eventually does run into her son at the Tenkaichi Budokai and sees his match with Jackie Chan. And taking full moon precautions, Bulma did take a pair of Roshi sunglasses that she found in Grandpa Gohan's house. So this prevented her from transforming into the Great Ape when Goku ended up having his little ape fit during the World Martial Arts Tournament. But there was nowhere near as much damage as in the anime, because Gine was there and able to ring Goku in simply by yelling his name and calming him down. Even though Goku has hit his head and completely forgotten about Gine, there's still that Saiyan part of him, when Goku's in his Great Ape form, that's going to recognize his mother's voice. And he's basically all calm. He's just like sitting there while Yamcha and Pa just casually come up and chop off Goku's tail, and he reduces back to human form. And of course this means the full moon doesn't have to be destroyed at this point. So they're able to wrap that up quickly, and ultimately the battle between Goku and Jackie Chan ends the same way, the double kick and Jackie Chan ultimately getting the win. And now Goku and Gine did have a bit of a run-in, and Gine got to hug her son. But Goku's just too much Goku to have really figured out that Gine was his mother. He wants to just get out there and find Grandpa's 4-star ball. So he's basically run off before Gine could really get the chance to tell him who she was. But that's probably not a bad thing at this point. Because now, with the realization from the others who were still at the tournament and had run into this woman who was having a bit of a lengthy conversation with Goku, were wondering who she was, and she revealed the fact that yes, she is indeed Goku, or rather Kakarot's mother. And that they're all surprised, but then again it's kind of obvious, you know, the tail and all, and so they're just, you know, burning with questions. And ultimately Gine fills them in. She tells them all about the Saiyan race, all about the Great Ape transformation, what the Saiyans were and everything, that they sent Kakarot because their planet was in threat of Lord Freeza, and Gine's basically come to take her son back. And you know, and unfortunately she just missed the chance to tell Goku who she was, and you know, Krillin basically just pipes up, well, if you come with us to Master Roshi's island, Goku's bound to come back sooner or later. And at this point, yeah, Gine's thinking, yeah, that's probably for the best. And that's exactly what she decides to do. And you know, and Gine also sort of mentions, you know, she's not entirely sure what she wants to do yet, because she has experienced what her son is like. She's basically come aware that he hasn't really got any memory of her, so she's got to sort of come to terms with that. Is it really right to take Kakarot back now that he's got this loving family and group of friends who really love and care for him? Is it really right for her to just come in and take him back like that? And you know, and considering his personality, his sweet, innocent-like personality, what are the other Saiyans going to do to him? You know, there's that risk as well. He could be executed for being a sweetie pie. You know, who knows? You know, there is a certain amount of risk if Gine takes him back. So she decides to stick around for a while in order to properly assess the situation and come to a decision, which is kind of cool. And Roshi actually fills Gine in on the fact that Goku hit his head when he was a child. Because remember, Roshi was aware all along that Goku is from outer space, because Grandpa Gohan told him that he found a boy in some sort of weird spaceship with a tail, and that he used to be grumpy and more evil, you know, what a Saiyan should be like, until one day he fell and hit his head. So Gine's a bit sort of torn up and heartbroken about that, because that meant Goku has lost his memory of his parents, his brother. And it's quite the bitter pill for Gine to swallow, but it's probably not a bad thing, because he does have a good life here now. And pretty much, and meanwhile, back on planet Vegeta or in space, Bardock wondering what's taking his wife so long to find Kakarot? Yes and no, but he's more or less busy on his duties of training up Prince Vegeta, teaching him humility, as well as going with his Saiyan brethren on these liberation missions and just freeing up the universe of all of Frieza's influence, which is going significantly well at this point in time. And when we get to back with Gine, pretty much the things with Goku and the Red Ribbon Army pretty much play out the same right up till the events of when he eventually returns to Roshi's Island, because they need to borrow the submarine to get the Dragon Ball. And this is when Gine actually goes with him. Gine goes with him on this submarine mission, along with Krillin and Bulma. And they're off to find this Dragon Ball, and this is an opportunity for Gine to get to know her son a little better. So she's having a bit of a trying to have a bit of a talk with him. When Goku goes through the door, in fact, he's like, "Oh hey, it's you. You're that nice lady from the tournament who was talking to me. You have a tail." Yes, Goku remembers the tail, but does Gine tell Goku that she's his mother? No, not yet, not at this point. He doesn't know how Goku would be able to really handle the truth of his origins just yet. So Gine is willing to play along and just talk with the kid, get to know him, and Goku's while they're on their way to get this Dragon Ball, Goku's basically filling her in with all these adventures, until they get interrupted by General Blue and his submarines trying to blow them out the water. And they're fleeing for their lives, and they end up through the Pirate Cove and all that. Their battle with the pirate robot, you know, that really cool, awesome looking pirate robot, isn't anywhere near as close as it is in the original anime, because you got Gine there as well. And Gine is, remember, she's stronger than her original counterpart in this story. She is absolute, like, 500 is a beast for someone living on Earth at that point of the story. 1,000 is like, well, we remember Raditz when he turned up, the power difference between the heroes. Yeah, that robot is a pile of scrappy. And of course there is a bit of confusion, and everyone gets separated, with General Blue changing the directions and all that. Goku has his one-on-one fight with that man-eating octopus and has a good meal out of it, ironically. And eventually Goku does end up going in the correct direction, and he finds that Bulma, Krillin, and even Gine are kind of on their knees, you know. General Blue's paralysis. And pretty much that fight between Goku and Blue pretty much goes the same way it does in the anime. And Goku, you know, dives after the ball, and they end up going back to the submarine. That all plays out, and Bulma was considering leaving Goku just like she does in Dragon Ball, but you know, Gine's refusing to leave too. Gine won't leave her son behind. And with that, just like before, Goku does arrive on time, and there's a big race to get out, and they get stuck, run out of fuel and all that, and Goku does this big Kamehameha! And they launch right out of the ocean. And at this point in the story, you know, they go back on Roshi Island, who, of course, Roshi has completely beaten the Red Ribbon Army senseless, just like in the original story. And yeah, after retrieving the Dragon Balls, and of course they all end up paralyzed by General Blue, but not before Launch, of course, runs off with the diamond, which, luckily, because that's how they get out of that mess, including Gine. She gets paralyzed again, and Goku is basically chasing after General Blue. Now, big difference here is that Gine is coming along for the ride. She's starting to realize just how dangerous and how much danger her son's putting himself into. So Gine is actually following him, and they end up in that, you know, that weird sort of Penguin Village, I think it's called. Yeah, Penguin Village. They end up in Penguin Village, and that pretty much plays off similar to the anime, except with Gine completely losing track of her son. And because remember, she can't sense power levels. And she ran off in a rush and left her scouter behind. So at this point, she's thinking that it's simply best that she goes back home and goes back to Roshi's Island and retrieves the scouter so she can find her son again. And the whole Blue being killed by Tao happens per normal, as well as the first fight between Goku and General Tao, or Mercenary Tao, whatever you want to call them. And in the meantime, Gine has indeed picked up her scouter, and she's on her way, flying to her son's location. The first fight between Mercenary Tao and Goku goes exactly as it does in the story, with Goku nearly ending up in near death. And Gine can sense her son's power level, with the scouter, her son's power level going down. And this horrifies her. She's flying at full speed now to get there on time. Tao has since evacuated, and by the time Gine's there, she just sees the little Indian boy, Upa, crying over the death of his father, as well as the apparent death of Goku. And Gine, she's just stunned. She's like, no, not my kakarot. She is partially devastated. But before she starts the grieving and tearing up herself, she notices Goku starting to move and getting up. Ow! That really hurt! As we know, he survived thanks to his grandpa's ball, which he managed to find. He had that tucked away in his shirt, and that protected him from General Tao's third-on wave. And does Gine choose to engage with her son? Actually, yeah, she wanted to make sure he's alright, you know. Her maternal instincts are kicking in. She still does not tell Goku who she is. But Goku is curious, why do you keep following me? And she just says, she just basically says, let's just say I will always watch over you. And then Goku of course decides, I'm gonna climb Korin's tower and drink the sacred water. And Gine's stunned because she only just got there. She doesn't know any of this stuff and what's going on. Sacred water? What's that gonna do? But Goku's already off like a shot. Straight to Korin's tower, and that whole training goes as per normal. Gine's trying to actually decides to stay there and tries to comfort Upa. And helps him with and she assures you, if anyone can stop Mercenary Tao and get revenge, it's going to be her son. If he can't, she tells Upa not to worry because Gine will step in before the worst happens. And then Goku comes down and the rematch begins, and that goes exactly as it does in the anime. He's like, and Tails like, ha! You drank the sacred water, did you? And he runs off to try and do the same thing, and we know how that goes. Gine's like, Goku, why aren't you worried? It's just regular tap water. And Tao has his big crash landing, just like he does, and round 3 begins. And that goes exactly the same way. Gine does not have to interfere. But Gine can't help but wonder if Goku's real strength wasn't just from the training of Korin, as well as the Zenkai boost he would have gotten from being pushed to near death by Mercenary Tao. And yes, he would have gotten a Zenkai boost. And of course, that match ends the same way. And then Goku makes his decision. I'ma charge the Red Ribbon Army, get those Dragon Balls, and put an end to this once and for all. And he's off again on his Nimbus, and Gine just got... It's a strange plan for Gine. Her son's a strange one. But he's definitely a Saiyan, alright. Always in need of a fight. And so, Gine decides to follow along. And for a military compound, Gine is just surprised that this military base is just letting them in. Well, it's probably just Mercenary Tao. Because remember, they are only able to spot Goku coming because he's got the Dragon Balls on the radar. I don't know or think Gine would actually show up on radar. I don't know. You can let me know in the comments about that actually. If I'm wrong there, then that would just mean that Gine gets rained on by a bunch of military weaponry. But I don't know. I don't think a radar would detect a flesh body flying. I don't know, I'm not too familiar about how radars work, unfortunately. But anyway, so she's following close behind. She's close behind her little son. And Goku's, the whole Red Ribbon Army thing goes pretty much the same way. Except for the battle between Goku and now Commander Black in his big robot suit. Gine is watching her son being wailed on by this robot, and she's not having any of it. When it gets to the point where it's pretty much to the point where Goku is going to lose to the robot, Gine just fires up a ki blast and destroys the robot. She doesn't want her son getting hurt. She is a mother after all. But Goku's a little upset. But I wanted to beat him. But still, Red Ribbon Army defeated by a child. And pretty much Gine and Goku eventually find Roshi and the others who have come to assist as well. And Goku is off trying to find the last ball so they can make their wish with with the Eternal Dragon. And the whole fortune teller barber thing happens. And it's until Goku gets himself a new spec of clothes. So remember, they get wrecked during that whole Red Ribbon Army thing until he gets his Turtle Hermit gi done. He needs to wear something else, and he doesn't have to wear that really ridiculous outfit that he has. No, Mummy's come prepared. She found one of those Dino Cat things, and also found Kakarot's space armor, and told him to put this on. He can wear that in the meantime. You don't like it, he can change it back into his gi. You know? And it's kind of adorable for Gine, you know, seeing her son again in his space armor. And let's face it, it's pretty cool. We've all wanted to see Goku in space armor. So this is a little treat for you Dragon Ball fans who always wanted to see Goku in space armor. There you have it. Briefly as it might be, because he gets his gi like he does, and the whole fortune teller barber part of the story plays out as per normal, including the final match with Grandpa Gohan, who spots Gine in the background, and he's wondering, a tail just like Goku. Now Gine was almost going to interfere with the match, seeing what Gohan was doing to her son, you know, with the tail slamming him constantly in the ground. Gine was actually getting angry enough to interfere, but Roshi's insists, no, we have to let this play out. Grandpa Gohan wouldn't intentionally hurt his grandson. He's doing this for a reason. We gotta trust his judgment. And Gine's just sort of standing there half out, like, oh. And of course, the tail eventually comes down and Goku's doing his funny little dance there. Ow, 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 ow! I always told you this would be your weakness. You have to work on your weaknesses. We get that whole speech, and Grandpa Gohan is curious about Gine. Now he doesn't say anything in front of Goku, but he does sort of go off and have a bit of a private conversation with Gine. Are you Goku's mother? And she's like, yes, but don't tell him just yet. I'm not ready for him to know just yet. That sort of thing, and she basically gives him a quick filling in on the Saiyans and what they're like and the full moon and whatnot, and he's sort of intrigued, but he doesn't really have time to really talk about it because his day past to stay in this world is about to expire. But he has a good chat with his grandson, who's just happy to see him, and Gine is just so warmed up and heartfelt by this. She's realizing, you know, maybe it's not such a good idea to, maybe it's not just such a good idea to bring Kakarot back, and you know, her heart's sort of broken at the same time too, because, you know, Gine's his family too. I'm sorry, if I'm tearing up a little bit. It's just stories like this. I'm quite sensitive to them. I tear up a little bit. But yeah, so with that, we basically get to that whole thing then finishes up, wraps up, and Goku gets his final Dragon Ball, has his battle with Pilaf, and gets his wish with the Eternal Dragon. And of course, Upa's father comes back, and Gine is just so proud of her son. I mean, what he has done for this person, for this kid, it's just heartwarming and beautiful. She couldn't be more proud of her son. And I think with that done, that is where we might leave things for now.